You're in the water loop.
Waterloop. Hey, this is Travis with Waterloop. You've probably heard me talk about how much I like High Sierra showerheads for their incredible water efficiency, their solid metal construction, and because it's a small business based in the U.S., with owner David Malcolm having a commitment to water and energy conservation. While I hope you value my opinion, there are some pretty major endorsements you should listen to. High Sierra showerheads were rated Best Showerhead by Popular Science and CNET, and Best Low Flow Showerhead by Wirecutter. If you go on Amazon, you'll see that High Sierra gets the highest ratings, 4.5 to 5 stars, from all the satisfied customers. You can use promo code WATERLOOP for 20% off at highsierrashowerheads.com.
Waterloop.
Welcome to Waterloop. This is Travis, going to talk about the blue economy today, and I am really excited to be joined by Diane Durance. She is the director of the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, my alma mater. Diane, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Well, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Travis.
Absolutely. I'm just really excited to talk about this topic and to be talking to somebody from UNCW about this. So what is the blue economy? When people hear that phrase, what does that mean?
Well, I think it means different things to different people, but the definition we're using is pretty all-encompassing. So we're talking about anything related to our waterways, any kind of economic opportunity, any kind of job, any kind of business that is in some way dependent on the oceans or other lakes, the Great Lakes, the rivers, anything like that. In our case, we really see in Southeast North Carolina, we think of the blue economy as everything from the technologies and the marine biotech and marine pharma kinds of activities that are happening with our businesses, all the way to the recreation, tourism, hospitality industries that are really dependent on us having clean beaches and fresh water and all of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I contributed to the blue economy a little bit this morning. I got to go surfing. You know, I paid some money in the parking meter, and I stopped and got coffee, and so it's just a little bit into the blue economy there, right?
Yes,
that's all part of it.
Yes, every little bit helps.
It seems like we've heard more about this blue economy concept the past several years. I mean, just in the news and coming from different parts of the country and the world. And why do you think that there's kind of this growing interest?
Well, I think two things are happening. One is, of course, the ocean environment and our coastal resources are in crisis. So you hear a lot about the impact of climate change and the impact of pollution and other issues that have really been in the news increasingly because of the greater number of storms we've had and the damage, and so that kind of keeps it in front of people. And the other aspect I think that's really coming into play is the fact there are so many opportunities. Not only the opportunities to work on some of these crisis situations, but there's lots of opportunity within like the marine biopharmaceutical space, where there's just the realization that we've only tapped a small percentage of the marine natural products, and we really don't know a lot about them. And we're already seeing how some of these things have come forward, even during the pandemic, where there's been research work on some of the seaweed compounds that they feel may be more effective than the pharmaceutical drug that was just approved to treat the patients that have COVID-19. So we're seeing more of that. We're seeing with the horseshoe crabs that they may also have a chemical compound in their bodies that could be effective in the treatment of COVID-19. So as these things start happening and people become more aware that we've only tapped a small fraction of these marine bioproducts, and we really don't know what kind of potential they hold. That kind of opens up more discussion and more looking into what might work. And then the other thing is on the engineering side, when you look at the autonomous vehicles and the progress that's been made with on land vehicles, whether it's for mining or transportation or trucking, those types of things. It's only natural that the oceans will now become an area where we're looking at the same thing. How can we be using more autonomous vehicles and robotics to solve some of the issues in shipping, for example? And even the electric vehicles, where we've made a lot of progress on land. Now companies are shifting focus and saying, how can we have an impact by bringing more electrical vehicles to the oceans? Because shipping is a huge contributor to the greenhouse gases.
Mm. So there's like you've said, there's all these different aspects of the blue economy. There's that kind of technology, marine exploration, there's the recreation and tourism, there's the potential for medicine and biopharma, and even wave energy or kind of renewable energy sources involved with the ocean. And it's a really, really exciting time. And I love how you made the point that this is not all about, oh, there's problems and we just have to deal with the problems. There's actually really positive opportunities here, really 21st century kind of opportunities and solutions. What are the projections around how the blue economy is going to change and grow? We're kind of at this really great point here, right, where there's a lot happening. What's the near-term, long-term future look like?
Well, if you consider right now, the blue economy contributes about $304 billion to our gross national product in the United States, and it accounts for 3.3 million jobs. They say in our region, in Southeast North Carolina, 1 in 6 jobs is related to the blue economy. Now, in our case, a lot of that is recreation and tourism, which aren't the high-paying jobs that we really want to be driving forward with in the blue economy. But I think that's where you're going to see the greatest growth come in the future, because you're looking at these technologies being the areas where there's going to be exponential growth more than tourism and recreation, which will continue to grow as the population grows and more people move to coastal areas, certainly, but it's not going to have the same kind of trajectory as, say, some pharmaceuticals that are derived from marine bioproducts that could, be the next cancer drug or the next drug for heart disease or whatever. It's that type of growth potential in the sciences, and with engineering and autonomous vehicles and electrification of the shipping industry. You're talking about huge industries and lots of activity that needs to enter kind of this new generation of technologies, and that hasn't happened yet. So the growth potential is really, really huge. When you look at even something simple like the dredging that they do in the Cape Fear River, it's still done the same way dredging has been done for 100 years. And we're looking at things with sensors and robotics on how you might be able to advance dredging so that it's not done in the same way, that you're able to do it kind of just in time in the right place.
It sounds, like technology is really such a huge driver for the blue economy and for its projected growth and changes, right? We have this increasingly digital world around us. We have machine learning and artificial intelligence and just incredible, powerful tools that are improving all the time, and this is really feeding into what we can do with the ocean and our coast. Let's focus in a bit more on the Carolina coast and southeastern North Carolina and Wilmington, because I know like you said, there's a lot that's starting to happen here. So what's going on with kind of the blue economy in this area?
Well, there's been so much focus on it because because of our storms that we've had over the past few years. I've only lived here 4.5 years, and I've been through 5 hurricanes. It's certainly top of mind for us here. There's also things we've been doing on campus at UNCW that has made us think more about the possibilities of developing entrepreneurs and innovative solutions. One is our coastal engineering degree, undergraduate degree program, which we're the first in the state, maybe the first in the country to have an undergraduate degree in coastal engineering. And then we're we're about to have a new PhD program that's going to be in applied coastal and ocean sciences. And by applied, we mean it's about figuring out how the research could actually be developed into innovative solutions that we could commercialize and take to market. So from the university standpoint, we also graduate a lot of marine biologists, marine scientists, environmental scientists, and we would love for those graduates to find opportunities along the North Carolina coast, and they would love to stay here. So there's that whole, okay, you've got the talented workforce, you have the challenges along the coast. How can we really kind of match these up and really develop a marine innovation hub here? And so there's a lot of appetite for that from a lot of different directions. So we really are looking at right now, we've got a blue economy work group that is developing strategy and looking at different programs. We're starting to kind of bring in under our what we call our big blue umbrella. We're bringing in all kinds of programs and trying to attract more resources and collaborations from around the state and around the country to put a focus on what we're trying to do and really figure it out. We've been having conversations with Duke University, has a Center for Energy. Their center contacted us because they're about to do a global research project on marine innovation hubs. And I'm like, gee, I wish your research was already done so you could tell us how to do it. But they're going to walk with us hand in hand as we're trying to develop our globally recognized and impactful marine innovation hub here, as they're learning from the other hubs around the world. What are the best practices? What are the most impactful steps to take? We want to know that because we want to do those things, because we are really in a great position to commercialize research from the university, and also start new ventures and to attract growth stage ventures that may be in other parts of the country but are needing a coastal location. We want to attract those companies. And also there are some areas in the Scandinavian countries and Israel and other places where they're doing real leadership work in these innovations that will preserve sustainable seafood and will make the shipping industry a cleaner industry, those types of things. Well, when they're looking for where they might put a U.S. headquarters for their companies, we want them to be thinking of Wilmington, North Carolina, and certainly the coastal North Carolina areas.
Yeah. So this idea you mentioned before to me about a blue tech cluster or this marine innovation cluster. And so the idea is that you have a place like Wilmington where you have just that. You've got kind of this incubating, coordinated, collaborative kind of environment with all different aspects. You have university power behind it, and you've got the private sector, and you've got startups and established companies, and trying to bring in international presence. And that's kind of the organism you're trying to build.
Yes, exactly. It's really the economic development and taking all aspects of it. And traditional economic development is really focused on how do you get those large companies to come here and bring jobs. But we know from experience in building an industry cluster that you need both things happening. You need to be creating businesses. You need to be nurturing the businesses that you have already in this area, and as well as attracting thought leader companies from around the world. Mm-hmm. You really want to to be a magnet that just draws people in that share our interest in creating a robust and healthy blue economy.
Yeah, and I mean, this is really a turning point for Wilmington in so many ways, right? Like you mentioned that it's typically been tourism and recreation, but now as Wilmington is continuing to grow, there's more kind of advanced businesses, if you will, that are setting up here, being founded here, and moving here, and that really is great for jobs and local resources. How do you, are there places around the country that you look at that have blue tech clusters and you're like, oh, we kind of want to be like that, or what can we learn from them?
We are learning from them. We've taken some inspiration from Sea Ahead up in Boston. I really like what they've done. Their focus has been more on the innovation and entrepreneurship sectors, but they do have a incubator accelerator. And they have 26 early stage ventures that are in the blue economy that are located there. They have developed funding through an angel network that is focused on blue tech and is specifically looking for opportunities to invest in this space. So that's one group that I kind of feel like covers the entrepreneurial side of it really well. And I kind of tease them about how when those companies start scaling up, that Boston area might seem a little expensive, and maybe they'd want to look at coastal Carolina to check out what we have down here in the Wilmington area when they go to scale up those businesses.
Little better weather too, I'd say.
Yes. I think they might like it here. Some others that we have, there are programs that we have also been studying and collaborating with. A big one is Fish 2.0, which we were a regional host for a 12-state region in 2017, and then in 2019 we were a host for about a 6-state region, but we widened the areas of the blue economy that we were hosts for. The first year we were really focused on ventures related to shellfish aquaculture. And then we moved into, with our 6-state region in 2019, we were looking at all areas of sustainable fisheries and sustainable aquaculture. So, and any area in any part of the supply chain. So it could be also in seafood processing, marketing, and delivery, all that, as well as growing fish or shellfish and wild catch fisheries. So we do see that as one of our key sectors is the sustainable aquaculture and fisheries, because seafood is a huge it's a huge industry, and it's one that is really growing rapidly. We now globally more seafood is produced through aquaculture than wild catch fisheries, and that is continuing to shift, where you're going to see less seafood available from wild catch fisheries and much more from aquaculture. And of course, we want to do it in a very sustainable way, and it can be done in a sustainable way, and it is in many places. I think that it gets a kind of a bad reputation when people see some of the overcrowded aquaculture facilities in certain parts of the world, but truly there are very sustainable approaches to that do produce very healthy seafood for people to consume while not deteriorating the environment. So certainly that sustainable fisheries, aquaculture, seafood sector is really important for us, and our involvement with Fish 2.0 has really helped push that forward, because that's a global program that connects early stage ventures with investors from around the world. And many of those are impact investors, so they are looking for new approaches that will be more sustainable. in the future. So that's a sector that we really care a lot about, and that's a Fish 2.0 is a program we've been involved with. And then Ocean Exchange is another. It's a competition for new ideas and new ventures in everything related to the ocean. So not just fisheries or seafood, but the robotics, the energy, all the things that we've been talking about. So there's a lot of opportunity there for us to be making connections for our entrepreneurs, and also just to make people more aware of the resources that we have here. And there are other groups, the University of Southern Mississippi and their port they've done a collaboration where they've developed a robotics makerspace. We would love to do something similar to that here. So we've been working with them and spending time talking to the leaders there that really drove that process and got them the funding to develop that maker space, and we're looking at the same thing for us. We'd really like to build our sector in marine robotics and data analytics and energy conversion and all those types of engineering applications. And one of the things we've done to advance that is, because we don't have an engineering school at UNCW, is we are collaborating with NCA&T and bringing their engineering students together with our marine science and marine biology students to work together in teams to develop some of these new innovations. So we're kind of filling in the gap that we've had in engineering, and also introducing those engineers to opportunities in the marine environment, which they're not generally exposed to up in Greensboro.
Mm. Right. Well, you've mentioned a couple different collaborations with universities. You talked about talking with Duke about some of the work they're doing, and NCA&T. And so when it comes to these clusters and fostering the blue economy, there's plenty of room to work with the other state universities and just really kind of work together, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I've been in conversations with UNC Charlotte, and there are professors there in engineering that really want to get their students some opportunities to look at some of the challenges in the marine environment around shipping and logistics and shoreline, our whole infrastructure. When you look at their engineering schools and civil engineering, and you look at all the issues that we have around bridges and coastal waterfront and the urban designs, and there's a lot. So there are areas where other universities in the state, or not even just in our state, Old Dominion University has reached out to us, and they want to collaborate on some of the programs that we're developing and some of the strategy that we have for growing these sectors. So when you look at that, it's, there's a lot of interest in how can we get all hands on deck to really, these are huge challenges, huge opportunities, difficult to organize. I'm sure you've heard the term wicked problems, and this is truly, the ocean represents a wicked problem, because there are a lot of different interests that are served by the ocean, and so people have different perspectives. Different countries have different perspectives, and there's a lot of economic consequences to how we handle things and how we develop the technologies, how we implement them, and just there are trade-offs all over the place. A simple example would be, we like to drive marine preserves and be sure that we have quotas on fisheries and so forth. Well, that works reasonably well in a wealthy country like the United States, but when you look at poorer island countries, and we're trying to preserve the ocean and different fish species, but they're dependent on them for their economy, for their fisheries, and for their commercial fishermen and recreational fishing and so forth. So there's that balancing that always has to happen. How can you really move forward with solutions that aren't going to harm in other ways.
Sure.
And that's by definition, what makes a wicked problem is there's not one easy solution. You've got to have, and that's why bringing in all these great minds and people that look at it different ways, people that have the engineering background, people that have the bioscience background, and people that know about environmental science, and bringing them together and getting people really working on solutions that have multiple dimensions.
And it's great. We have Wilmington, we have the location, right? So like you've said in the beginning, we've got this great spot right here on the ocean. You've got University of North Carolina, Wilmington, you got UNCW here. So it's a great magnet. You've got the Center for Marine Science there. That's just a facility we can leverage. I wanted to hear a little bit more about preparing students, and because you need that workforce, you need those young minds and creating the opportunity. So could you talk a little bit more about what's being done and what can be done to get students, especially UNCW students, into the blue economy?
Well, they want to be in the blue economy. That's the real positive part of it. Many of the UNCW students choose UNCW because they want to be near the ocean. They want to be near the beaches for the recreation and quality of life. But when you look at how many of them are studying environmental science, marine chemistry, marine biology, I mean, they want to find jobs in their field and do impactful work. And we don't have enough jobs like that here for the number of graduates we have. So our work is really in developing these businesses and encouraging the students to really look at entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial opportunities. And I teach entrepreneurship for non-business majors, which is our first course in the minor in entrepreneurship. And I get a lot of environmental science and marine biology students because they're really trying to figure out how they can create an opportunity for themselves to stay here. Mm-hmm. How can they form a business that is involved in the blue economy. And in fact, several of our current oyster farmers that are being very successful in our area are UNCW graduates. Connor McNair is a great example with NC Oyster Company. He came to UNCW because he knew he wanted to grow oysters, and he got his degree in marine biology, and now he's doing it, and he's doing a great job. His business is really growing. He's taken all the really careful business planning into account so that he can grow a very successful business. We have others. Richard Hughes is also a graduate of our marine biology program, and he has a company called Atlantic Biotechnologies, and he's doing great. He's got these microcrustaceans that are like fish food for fish as they're going from the larval stage into their adult phase. They need this kind of special food to make that happen. And so his product is in fish aquarium stores all over. And he's growing that business. So those are kind of some basic examples of how some of our students have graduated and continued to create opportunities for themselves. We'd really like to have a full blue economy cluster here that would be where there would be not just startups, but the growth firms, like what we're talking about with stealing them from See Ahead up in Boston and getting them to grow here. That would be job opportunities for our students. And certainly if we could get some of these international companies that are involved in energy conversion or aquaculture or shipping, that are looking for those experts. And then I think we're also going to see a lot of growth in the companies we have here that are environmental science companies that are doing work around environmental testing and in remediation, shoreline work with the combating erosion. I think we're going to see more work for our students in environmental science with the developers that are looking at how to develop coastal areas. And a lot of work is being done and developed with architects trying to design for coastal construction. So we'll be working in our students that are going to be graduating in our new coastal engineering undergraduate degree program. Those kind of positions will be of interest to them, certainly.
Great. Well, as an alum of UNCW myself, I love the idea that you all are working to create this blue economy here in Wilmington. And, I know so many students that come here, they go to school and they're like, wait, this is a wonderful place. I want to stay. I want to grow here. And so there sounds like there's a lot of opportunities that'll be coming for folks. I look forward to following up on this and keeping track of it all and maybe talking to some of these different people that you've mentioned. But Diane, thank you so much for the conversation.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to the next time we cross paths.
Waterloop, waterloop, waterloop.
The Waterloop podcast is brought to you by High Sierra Showerheads, the smart and stylish way to save water, energy, and money while enjoying a powerful shower. Use promo code WATERLOOP for 20% off at highsierrashowerheads.com.
You're in the Waterloop.
Waterloop, waterloop, waterloop.